Hey, what's up there, YouTubers? It's me again, Brian, aka Gamer 55551, and I am back with a My 2 cent Nintendo / gaming video for this week, for the week of February 16th to the 22nd, where I give you my thoughts and my opinions on some stories that caught my attention, and like I said, give you my thoughts and my opinion on them. And we have 6 stories to cover about, including Cyberpunk 2077 and GeForce Now, an update that The Witcher 3 for the Nintendo Switch got. Some things Aultus is doing that, well, ranging from their comments about Persona 5, the possibility of that coming to the Nintendo Switch, to some of their bizarre policies in terms of video recording for it. Not to mention rumors about 2 games possibly coming to the Nintendo Switch, Catalina, if I'm saying the name correctly, and XCOM 2. And of course, we have the numbers. So far, the numbers came in over the weekend. I mean, last weekend to be exact, for the Sonic the Hedgehog movie. And apparently, these numbers are actually very good, at least for the Paramount to be exact. But before we get started, though, we'll start off first with the quick My 2 cent part. And these are just stories that didn't catch my attention entirely, but they're worth mentioning. The first one has to do with, obviously, Biomutant, and that game has kind of disappeared off the radar a little bit, but supposedly an update came out saying that the game is still in development, and they are supposedly have a 2020 announcement, although we don't know if that is going to happen. We don't know if that's the official release date in 2020 or not, so we'll have to wait and see. On top of that, there's a report, at least from Nintendo Soup, and again, if you want to see any of these stories, links will be in this description, that apparently a listing on Walmart has Biomutant coming to the Nintendo Switch. Now, nothing's been confirmed at this time, but it does kind of sound similar to what happened last year when EB Games Canada had it listed for the Nintendo Switch. So there's no official confirmation. We don't know if this game is going to come to the Nintendo Switch, but supposedly it is running on the Unreal Engine 4, which means that I would say there is a chance Biomutant could come to the Nintendo Switch. We also learned that apparently Disney is looking at more about licensing out their IPs to have other studios work on it, though. And they've say this based off success that Marvel's Spider-Man and Star Wars Jedi Fallen Order has done, which, I mean, I certainly am open to that. I would love to see a studio maybe take on, maybe like the Tron license. That would be nice. Or maybe another studio other than EA do a Star Wars game. I mean, I would love for them to team up with maybe, and I'm just throwing an idea out there, call me a fanboy on this or not, with Nintendo to bring back the Rogue Squadron series, though, because honestly, I think signing an exclusive deal with EA to handle the Star Wars license was a big mistake on Disney's part. I really think that they should broaden the license out, like what we saw they did with Sony, with Spider-Man, to what they did with Nintendo and Koei Tecmo with Marvel Ultimate Alliance 3, The Black Order. So, I certainly am open to this approach of it, and I do hopefully this time they give it to developers who actually can put time and effort in it, and not pull like what we saw with Star Wars Battlefront 2. We also learned that supposedly next week, or next Friday, Platinum is going to reveal their next game, supposedly in a Famitsu magazine. This may have to do with basically the Platinum 4. It's basically 4 announcements they have to make. 4 announcements they're going to make, though. The first one, obviously, was the Wonderful 101 on Kickstarter, which has really been successful and all that stuff. As far as what that game may be, who knows? Honestly, I'm open for a new IP or anything like that, but I would be, and this is just me, I would love to see something like, say, them get the rights of Mad World. I would like to see a reimagination or a sequel to that, or Infinite Space that was released back on the Nintendo DS back in the day, and I would certainly love to see some of these games come to the Nintendo Switch, but we'll have to wait and see what that thing is next week that Platinum is going to show off. And last but not least, we do want to talk about a story that has kind of come out, is a comment that Fortnite streamer Ninja recently made. Now, normally I don't really pay attention to Ninja. I'm not really a Fortnite fan or anything like that. Whatever he does is what he does. But apparently, he got a lot of people's attention when he talks about how people saying it's just a game, or talking about video games and all that stuff, and sort of made a big deal about it, which honestly, look, I enjoy video games as a hobby, okay? I do enjoy them as a hobby. I don't see them as a competition. I mean, if I lose at a boss battle, yes, it could be a little disappointment. I don't view it as it's just a game, like the whole get like it's like the end of the world or anything like that. So I have to say Ninja kind of went, I think he went a little bit overboard, but that's my take though. Alright, with the quick my 2 cent part out of the way, we'll get started with our first part, and this one has to do with the Sonic movie. Now, I'm sure most of you are aware, last year, when Paramount revealed the Sonic trailer, it got downvoted a lot, and a lot of people pointed to just how bad Sonic was designed. Now, normally when it comes to the fandom, I take anything they say with a grain of salt, because we've seen how the fandom can get toxic and go a little bit overboard. But there are times when I will side with them though, and I think in the case of Sonic, it was definitely I had to side with them on this one. Sonic looked bad back then and all that stuff, and the fact that you had fan art that could do a better job than like one of these guys that have work on these CGIs and all that stuff is really just laughable. But nevertheless, Paramount listened. They decided to delay the movie. They decided to redesign Sonic, and when they released the new trailer, apparently that sat well with a lot of people. That Sonic looked more recognizable and definitely looked more closer to the video game adaptation, minus the whole issue with the eye part and all that stuff, than what the old Sonic looked like. And apparently it seems that delay and that redesign basically paid off for Paramount and Sega. In an article from the Hollywood Reporter, again, like I said, links will be in the description of this video, it reads, box office, Sonic the Hedgehog wakes Paramount from hibernation. The movie's $70 million US debut marks the studio's biggest opening since Mission Impossible Fallout in summer 2018. And the article reads, quote, waiting and hedging its bets proved to be worth it for Paramount. Over the long President's Day weekend, Sonic the Hedgehog zoomed past expectation to a $70 million debut, the studio's biggest domestic opening since Mission Impossible Fallout over 18 months ago. Every Hollywood studio has its ups and downs at box office, but Paramount has endured a dismal run topped by big-budget misuse such as Gemini Man and Terminator Dark Fate in late 2019. Both films were produced and co-financed by partner Skydance. Sonic marks an important victory for Paramount and studio chairman Jim Giannopoulos, if I'm saying this name correctly, after scoring the top opening of all time for a video game adaptation. Giannopoulos picked up the project out of a turnaround from Sony in fall of 2017, not long after he took the job and was tasked with writing the Alien Studio. Sonic was the right film at the right time, and it could have come at a better time for Paramount, a studio that desperately needs franchise. God forbid the industry loses another major studio to a rival, said box office analyst Jeff Brock, if I'm saying the name correctly. The live-action CGI hybrid based on the popular Sega video game was hardly a sure bet. The family picture release date was pushed back 3 months after the first-time feature trailer. Jeff Flower announced he was redesigning the character after a loud outcry over the first trailer. It indicated there were a rabid fan base that cared. We needed a reset, said Paramount domestic distributor president. I can't think of any other example of this being done. To change a character is pretty unusual. Adding box office analyst Paul, I have a hard time saying his last name, I apologize for that. It was a very interesting business decision, and I think that all the talks of changing the character helped the movie and made it more mainstream. Heading into President's Day weekend, Sonic was tracked to gross roughly $45 million to $50 million for the 4-day holiday. Its 3-day gross of $58 million beat those projections alone, where the estimated 4-day gross of $70 million represented the fourth best domestic showing for the holiday behind Black Panther's 242.5 million, Deadpool's 152.3 million, and 50 Shades of Grey 93 million, not adjusted to inflation. Based on Sonic the Hedgehog's opening numbers, analysts believe the movie has a shot at grossing at 200 million domestically. Excuse me. Paramount's top grossing domestic last year was Rocketman with 96.4 million in ticket sales. For those who are not familiar, Rocketman is sort of, I think, the story of Elton John and so forth. Otherwise, Sonic has already outgrossed every other release of last year in North America, including tentpole Terminator Dark Fate, 62.3 million, and Gemini Man, 48.5 million. Neither of those two latter films were able to make up grounds overseas. Sonic is also off to a strong start internationally, where it debuted to 43 million from its first 40 markets to an early global total of 113 million. The 87 million film, which received an A Cinemax score but only mediocre reviews, excuse me, sees Sonic, voiced by Ben Schwartz, teaming up with a small-town sheriff, James Marsden, I apologize for not saying his name correctly, to battle the evil genius Dr. Robotnik, Jim Carrey. Nostalgia played a big factor than expected, moving this from a traditional family film to the teens and hipsters quarantine, said Brox. Previously, 2019's Pokemon Detective Pikachu boasted the top North America debut for a video game adaptation with a 3-day start of 54.3 million, not adjusted to inflations. While they are very different films, Sonic did steal some of the young audience from Warner Brothers and DC's Bird of Prey, which earned 20 million over President Day weekend, to an anemic 11-day domestic total of 62 million. Paramount's rebound should continue in earnest with the release of A Quiet Place Part 2 on March 20th and Top Gun Maverick on June 26th. So, obviously, it seems that this delay may have been a good thing for Paramount and Sega. I think that the end result was that people saw Sonic finally got the redesign that he needed. It was one that was acceptable and people actually liked it. And it looks like in the end, they decided to go out and spend their time to see this movie. Now, just to be clear, I haven't seen this movie yet. I'm hoping to see it over the weekend and all that. So hopefully I have time to see it and all that stuff. But I am pleased that this movie is doing well. As always, I mean, in the past, movies based off of video games don't always actually do very well and all that stuff. But with movies like this and Detective Pikachu doing very well at the box office, maybe we're reaching a point where they could be like in a way, kind of like what comic book movies are right now, where they're actually good and all that stuff. I'm hoping that both Universal with their upcoming Super Mario movie, I hope that they, along with Nintendo, look at how Sonic and Detective Pikachu did very well in the box office, and see if they could try to apply that to make this Super Mario movie good. Not to mention making it right this time compared to the 1993 live-action Super Mario Bros. Movie. Yes, it has its charm. It's that it's so good. I mean, it's so bad, it's good kind of look. But let's be honest, it was still a bad film no matter what. I mean, I'm not saying there is some nostalgic to it, but let's be clear, that was not a great film and all that stuff. So overall, I'm pleased that the Sonic movie is doing very well. I'm hoping to see it over the weekend. Hopefully I enjoy it as much as people do. And I do hope that this starts a trend in terms of exactly how it is possible to do a movie based off a video game and actually be good. And hopefully they'll be in the same category as what we see like a lot of the comic book movies, how we're seeing a lot of them and how well they're doing at the box office. So we'll see if that happens. But like I said, great, good for Sega, good for Paramount. Now, if only we could get an actually good, I would like a good Sonic game. I'm talking about the 3D one, not the 2D ones. The 2D ones are great. The 3D ones, I have to say, are kind of mixed bag. Okay, we're going to take a quick break. When we get back, we're going to get to part 2. And this one has to do with supposedly ratings for XCOM 2 and Kathleen, if I'm saying the name correctly, were spotted that they could be coming to the Nintendo Switch. So we'll take a quick break and we will be right back. Okay, and we are back with part 2 of our My 2 Cent video, and for this one, we're going to be taking a look at what apparently is a report coming out that 2 games have recently popped up on a ratings board in South Korea, which could, and it's possibly could be an indication of they could be coming to the Nintendo Switch. And those 2 games are Catalina and XCOM 2. Now, we've been seeing a lot lately that a lot of developers have started to, or at least some developers have started to take the Switch maybe a little bit more serious than they did in the past, to basically games that we thought would never make it onto the system, like Doom, Wolfenstein 2, The New Colossus, and recently Witcher 3 Wild Hunt. Games that we thought would never come to the system actually make their way to the Nintendo Switch. However, there are some developers that have kind of stayed off the sideline or haven't fully supported the Switch, either haven't or maybe taken a wait-and-see approach. Some of those companies are companies like Aultus and even 2K Games, with them mostly supporting the system with games like, say, with like the NBA 2K, and then they had that Carnival game, which I don't know how far that went. But lately, it's possible they might be changing their mind. I think mostly with 2K games, with the recent rumors about the possibility that BioShock the Collection could be coming to the Nintendo Switch, since that popped up on a Taiwanese ratings board and a South Korean's rating board. It does give the impression that it's all but certain that will come to the Nintendo Switch. Same thing with Metro Redux. That popped up on a European ratings board until we got the official announcement that Metro Redux, which is both Last Light and I think 2033, were both coming to the Nintendo Switch. In an article posted on Nintendo Life, it reads, quote, "A number of third-party titles for Switch are often leaked via classified boards ahead of their official announcement, and now it looks like 2 more have been spotted. Following on from various listings such as Metro Redux, which we now know that is, like I said, that's coming to Nintendo Switch, and the BioShock Collection, which, although no official announcement has been made, based on it appearing on 2 of the rating boards, like I said, it's only a matter of time before that one officially is announced. Kathleen Full Body and XCOM 2 collections have been rated for the Nintendo Hybrid platform. These listings both popped up on the South Korean rating board. Interestingly, the age rating for Kathleen Full Body predates the recent survey Aulx shared with fans, which asks what game the Japanese company should port to the Switch. As you might recall, this PS4 and PS Vita exclusive was one of the titles mentioned. As for XCOM 2 collection, it comprised of the base game and multiple DLC packs. According to a Steam listing, it includes the following: Resistant Warriors pack, Reinforcement pack, War of the Chosen / Tactical Legacy pack, and War of the Chosen. I don't know why they mentioned that both there. It's worth knowing how it handled by the same publisher as BioShock Collection 2K Games. As highlighted by Game Explain, any ratings for this game normally indicates an announcement or release date isn't too far away. Until we get a more official confirmation, though, saying, if you're interested in playing these games and all that stuff. So, I will admit, though, we still have to wait for an official confirmation or even a direct, although the only direct we've gotten recently is now the Animal Crossing, which, while it may not be the direct everybody wants, it's a start at least, though. But the fact that it's popped up on these rating systems and all that, unless there is a typo, though, in any way, I think it sounds more likely it's going to be coming to basically the Nintendo Switch. I mean, the same thing happened with Call Juarez Gunslinger. That was first rumored, then it popped up on the ESRB rating, and then, of course, Techland teased with their basic, with that image of a cowboy playing the Nintendo Switch, all leading up to the official announcement that Call Juarez Gunslinger was coming to the Nintendo Switch. So I do think that unless this is a typo, I do think it sounds more than likely it's coming. These games will be coming to the Nintendo Switch. It's just a matter of when the official announcement is going to happen, though. Personally, I never played Kathleen or anything like that. I've heard some good things about it and all that stuff. I do hope it comes to Nintendo Switch. I'm open to playing that game. XCOM 2, on the other hand, I did play that, though. I will say those who enjoyed, games like Mario plus Rabbids Kingdom Battles will definitely like XCOM 2. There are some differences in certain gameplay mechanics and all that stuff, but the gameplay is kind of, for those who, like I said, those who played Mario plus Rabbids will get a good idea of what XCOM 2 is all about. That definitely is a game I would love to see to come to the Nintendo Switch. Although I do think that if they're bringing that one over, I would love for them to bring XCOM 1 over to the Nintendo Switch. And if an XCOM 3 ever happens, hopefully they'll make the announcement for that one, and hopefully that will come to the Nintendo Switch as well. So overall, like I said, still waiting for official confirmation on this, but given that they popped up on the ratings board, though, unless it's a typo, I think it's more than likely Kathleen and XCOM 2, or more likely are Switch-bound. At least that's how I'm looking at it, though. Okay, we're going to take a quick break. When we get back, we're going to get to part 3, and this one has to do with Aulx giving a response to the possibility of Persona 5 coming to the Nintendo Switch, to some guidelines they set up in terms of recording for Persona 5 Scramble, which, well, let's just say not everyone is a fan of. So we'll take a quick break, and we will be right back. Okay, and we are back with part 3 of our My 2 Cent video, and this has to do with the video game company Aulx and some of their response they made in regards of Persona 5 possibly coming to the Nintendo Switch, and basically some guidelines they have in terms of video recording for the upcoming game Persona 5 Phantom Striker, if I'm saying the name correctly. Now, when it comes to Aulx support, at least for the Nintendo Switch, their support has been kind of, mixed or barely there. I mean, outside of Shin Megami 5, which we're still waiting for, which was announced when the system was launched back in 2017, though, they've basically I would say their support really, in my view, hasn't really been there. And ever since Joker made an appearance on Super Smash Bros. Ultimate, people have been kind of clamoring for, does this mean that Persona 5 is coming to the Nintendo Switch or anything like that? Well, Aulx gave a bit of a response to this when this question was being asked. So in an article from Nintendo Life, it reads that, quote, title reads, Aulx understands the desire for a Persona 5 Switch port, tells fans to remain hopeful. It reads, quote, last week, Aulx sent its recent survey and asked about games it should port to the Nintendo Switch has exceeded expectation. This followed with the discovery of Kathleen. Full Body has been rated for the hybrid platform in South Korea. Since then, there have been even more requests for Aulx to bring Persona 5 to the Switch. While there's been no official mention of such thing at the moment, IGN recently reached out to Aulx communicating manager and asked if it was time to give up on hope. This was her reply, quote, I am a strong believer in never give up on hope. You want what you want, and if you don't let us know, we're never going to be able to make it. She further stated how Aulx was listening to their fans and understand the desire for a game like Persona 5 on the Switch, further reiterating how it was important for fans to voice their opinion. At this point in time, the only Persona game for the Switch is Persona 5 Scramble, the Phantom Striker. Joker, the protagonist of Persona 5, has also appeared in a number of Switch titles, including Super Smash Bros. Ultimate. So, I mean, yes, to some degree, I think she is kind of right in terms of like, if you don't ask for it, they're not going to bring it over. But at the same time, I do wonder if we're asking for it, why they haven't brought the game over. I mean, it's almost kind of like the situation, kind of almost feels kind of like Capcom tried to pull last year with Dragon Dogma Dark Arisen that came to the Nintendo Switch, pulling that, buy this so we could bring Devil May Cry 5 to the Nintendo Switch. Well, it hasn't even come to the Nintendo Switch and all that stuff. And it does make you kind of wonder, are they really paying attention to the Switch at all? I mean, or is Persona 5 really going to come to the Switch? Or is it really the rumors about possibly they signed an exclusivity deal with Sony to have it on that system only? So maybe Aulus will change their mind on it. Maybe they'll actually bring Persona 5 or any of the other Persona games over to the Nintendo Switch, but who knows? I mean, personally, I think it would be nice if they brought Persona 5 or to the Nintendo Switch and all that stuff, but we'll have to wait and see if they ever do that or anything like that. But I just feel that response saying, if more people ask, we'll bring it over. I just can't help but feel that kind of response feels like even if people ask for it, they're still not going to bring it over. It could be financial reasons or not. That may be a possibility. Then again, with the Switch overpassing the Xbox One or anything like that, I think it would be hard to really ignore the Nintendo Switch and so forth. In the meantime, we are getting a Persona 5 game. Maybe not the Persona 5 game that people want, and that is the upcoming Persona 5 Phantom Striker, a game that's sort of with a collaboration with Aulus and Omega Force and all that stuff. And while it is certainly a game I'm going to keep an eye out and look forward to when they announce, hopefully they'll announce it to the West soon, they've recently put up some certain guidelines or restrictions in regards of any video capture of Persona 5 Phantom Striker. Again, in another article from Nintendo Life, it reads that, quote, "One of the best ways to promote a video game to the masses nowadays is via live stream and video recording. Not every company is necessarily a fan of this, though. In the past, we've seen developers like Arc System Works enforce Steam guidelines in an attempt to reduce the number of spoilers, and now Aulus has shared its own list of guidelines for its latest release, Persona 5 Scramble, the Phantom Striker. This information comes from its official website. The list below details what is and isn't allowed. For example, when showing footage of events or story scenes in the Phantom Striker, you must clearly tag them as spoiler. If Aulus deems a video unacceptable, it must be removed." Here is sort of the rundown of this. It's, quote, "Uploading screenshots or videos requires you to use the console's own capture and share functionality. Aulus will not allow screenshots or video captured via personal capture card. Only upload videos to sites supported by the share feature on the Switch and PS4. If you're showing event scenes or story scenes, you must clearly mention that they are spoilers. Footage and screenshots should also show Aulus, Sega, and Koei Tecmo games, all right reserves. Do not use gameplay footage for any other purpose other than showing gameplay. Do not upload BMG music data or use gameplay footage for the main purpose of listening to the music. Uploading gameplay to sites that require subscription service or payment to browse is countered and as use gameplay for monetization purpose. Do not use gameplay footage to slander other people. If Aulus requests you to remove the video, please remove the video. Videos that Aulus deems as are unacceptable will be deleted or taken off from viewing. Queries into this matter may or may not be answered by Aulus. If the streaming or upload gameplay leads to monetary loss, Aulus does not hold any responsibility, nor would they pay any monetization compensation. Players are not allowed to share anything about the game's endgame or anything afterward. Other than the gameplay used to slander other people's, which I have to side with them on that one. I have to say, in general, to me, this feels like Aulus is going way overboard on this one as well. I mean, I remember last year how Marvelous was really cracking down on people that was showing off gameplay footage of Damien X Machina, and and the game also, from what I understand, didn't exactly sell very well. Some parts of it maybe people didn't like the game, or maybe it had only a niche audience. Others may be because of Marvelous's idiotic decision for basically filing copyright strikes on people who put up, like, I think their gameplay footage or certain gameplay footage or something like that. I just think this is just way, way overboard for what Aulx is doing. I mean, I understand it is their IP and all that stuff. I understand they need to protect their IP, but I also think they're missing out on an opportunity of what is basically free advertisement for this, though. And I think it's really in my view, a dumb and idiotic decision on Aulx's part, especially for those who monetize their videos and so forth. So I have to say, overall, I'm not sure about Aulx's comments of saying, please ask us so we could bring the game over and all that stuff. I'm a little iffy about that. And I'm also a little not happy with their so-called video capturing and all that stuff. I think some of it is ridiculous. I understand it's their game and their IP, and they have a right to protect their IP. But I also feel at the same time they are going, as far as the video game capturing part and their guidelines and all that stuff, I do feel that they're going a wee bit, or should I say, very overboard on this indeed. Okay, we're going to take a quick break. When we get back, we're going to get to part 4, and this one has to do with the recent, our first direct, which is a focus on the upcoming Animal Crossing game coming to the Nintendo Switch. So we'll take a quick break, and we will be right back. Okay, and we are back with part 4 of our My 2 Cent video, and for this one, we're going to be talking about Animal Crossing, or at least the first direct we got for the year, and this one is focused on, of course, the upcoming Animal Crossing New Horizon, if I'm saying the name correctly, though. Now, I'll be honest with you, though, I never really have gone into the whole Animal Crossing or anything like that. But there's no denying that there is an audience and all that stuff out there. And the series certainly has gained a following. There is, however, one Animal Crossing game that isn't really liked by a lot of people, and that was on the Wii U, and that was basically sort of like a board game-like approach, which, for what I understand, did not sit very well. So with this new one coming out in March, hopefully this one will sit well with a lot of people. And of course, recently we had the direct, and I got a chance to see the direct this morning and so forth. I didn't have time yesterday, so that was a bit unfortunate for me. And from what I looked at it, I will say the presentation was pretty good. I mean, I didn't feel like it was cheesy or dumb the way the Splatoon directs were on that stuff. I thought the way they presented those, that just, maybe it's me and all that stuff, but I just thought it looked dumb and idiotic. This one seemed a little bit better, and there are certain things I do like for what they are doing with this. The whole idea of you can reshape the island and all that stuff. For some reason, I'm just getting a little bit of like a SimCity or SimCity 2000 vibe to it in a way, and some of the stuff ranging from like the multiplayer stuff to a lot of stuff to do in the game. There are 2 issues I do have with it that I'm not a big fan of what Nintendo is doing with the upcoming Animal Crossing New Horizon. This has been mentioned before. The first one I think is more controversial than the other one, but the other one has something that, yes, I can understand, but I still don't like the approach. The first one has to do with the voice and text chat. And according to the Vague, in regards to that, it says, quote, if you want to actually talk to friends, you need to do so via a separate smartphone app. The Nintendo Switch Online mobile app is being updated to support New Horizon, and it requires both voice and text chat in the game. The app will also let you scan QR codes to import pattern designs from past Animal Crossing games. The update is expected later in March after New Horizon launches. So I have to say, as far as that approach goes, I think I'm kind of mixed on that. On one hand, you can use, if you have like any of like, I believe the Animal Crossing game from the Nintendo 3DS, I believe like whatever designs you can make, they're saying you can use the QR, scan it, and put it into the Switch version of Animal Crossing New Horizon. I think that is a neat feature. However, the part I don't like though is the whole requirement that you have to do, voice chat 3i the app. I think, I'm sorry, but I think that's a dumb thing. I still think they should have added, this reinforces they should have added Bluetooth support for the Nintendo Switch in terms of basically to use voice chat that way, especially compared to how voice chat is done on both the PS4, the Xbox One, and the PC as well. So I think on one hand, I like the idea that you can use like any of the designs you make on the 3DS version of Animal Crossing and have that in the Nintendo Switch version. But on the other hand, the whole voice chat part, not so much the text, but the voice chat part, I do think is ridiculous. The other one, and I think this is a big one that may not sit well with everybody, and that is, quote, that there is no cloud save whatsoever. And according to the Verge, they are saying, quote, much like other big Nintendo franchises like Pokemon Splatoon, the new Animal Crossing won't support cloud save via the Nintendo Switch online subscription service. The reason isn't clear though. Nintendo says that it's planning some kind of recovery service for those who lose their game file due to lost or damaged console. So while that's great that they'll be able to recover in case your Switch gets damaged or lost, I think it's still an idiotic decision that they are not allowing cloud save, especially that was like one of the big selling points in regards to the Nintendo Switch online service. And the fact that this along with some of the Pokemon Splatoon games, it kind of gives the impression of then what's the point using Nintendo's online service if you can't use the cloud saving part. So I have to say, as far as the Direct goes, those are probably my two biggest issues I do have with what they were talking about in terms of features. But other than that, though, I have to say, even though I'm not a big Animal Crossing fan or anything like that, this is one I will be willing to keep an eye on, though. I do like the idea of shaping the island or visiting other people or inviting them. So it's really a very interesting idea and all that stuff. So there are certainly some things I liked. But of course, as I mentioned, the two things, there are certain things I don't like what Nintendo is doing. So overall, not a bad Direct. I mean, obviously the main focus was simply Animal Crossing and so forth. I know there are some out there that will probably put out, where's Smash, where's our Smash, and all that. We've seen that many times and all that. So I will say it was a good Direct. Some things I liked, some things I didn't like. And again, I'm not a big Animal Crossing person, but I am going to keep an eye out for this title when it comes out in March. Okay, we're going to take a quick break, and when we get back, we're going to get to part 5, and this one has to do with The Witcher 3 on the Nintendo Switch, and a recent update that it has recently gotten. So we'll take a quick break, and we will be right back. Okay, and we are back with part 5 of our My 2 Cent video, and this one has to do with Witcher 3, specifically the Switch version, that apparently got a really very interesting update recently though. Now, one of the big surprises from 2019, at least on Nintendo Switch for me, was the announcement that Witcher 3 with Wild Hunt, the complete edition, was coming to the Nintendo Switch. Now, when that rumor started, though, I wasn't sure about it at first, though, but seeing how at the time Doom and Wolfenstein 2 made its way over to Nintendo Switch, I couldn't completely rule it out and all that stuff. And like anything, I wanted to wait to hear the official confirmation. So when E3 came around, E3 2019, and they showed that, I mean, my mouth dropped. I was thinking, oh my god, this is coming to the Switch. A game that many viewed as like graphically demanding somehow is making its way over to the Nintendo Switch. And it is still impressive that how this game was able to get over here. I mean, it is a good game overall, but the fact that it's even on a system like this is still impressive. I mean, granted, it's not the best looking version, and it may not be the version for everyone, but the fact that it still is on the Switch is still, like, impressive and all that stuff. So it was surprising to me to hear that CD Projekt Red and Saber Interactive, which I'm going to get to, what they just recently got an acquisition, recently followed up with a update on it. And this one is... Actually, there are some features about this update that I really do like. So, several articles have pointed out on this, though. Again, link will be in the description. You can read it, though. But this one from WCTF Tech reads that, quote, The Witcher 3 Nintendo Switch can hit consistent 30 FPS thanks to new update, analysts confirm. It says, quote, The Witcher 3 on Nintendo Switch has been updated this week, and the update not only introduced new visual options and more, but also performance improvements that makes the game hit 30 FPS more consistently. Digital Foundry took an in-depth look at update 3.6, highlight how turning off all the new graphic setting, introduced by the update. Update makes The Witcher 3 hit 30 FPS consistently in most areas while in dock mode. Improvements are much smaller with the settings on and in undocked mode, though. They have the video, but I'll have a card up there you could take a look at, though. But here's a list of what 3.6, at least that's been from what I've been reading, though. It's add touchscreen support. I heard that this isn't added to the Gwent card games or anything like that. Additional save file integration with GOG, Steam, and versions of the game for Switch from different regions. Adds more text language in selected regions. Add more graphical options. Add multiple performance optimization. Fix various visuals and functioning bugs. Various gameplays and crash fix. When transferring The Witcher 3 from PC, please keep in mind mod-related bugs and blockers might get transferred from a mod PC game save file. So they're saying if you're transferring from like the PC to the Switch, like there may be some issues if you're using mods or something like that. Again, I'm not a PC expert, but that's how I'm basically reading it, though. If the save file name has been changed on PC, the Switch Cloud Save feature won't be able to recognize it. Additional voiceover language added as a free DLC in selected regions will follow later. So, I have to say, from what I've been reading, and I have to take a look at it myself, though, there are certain things I do like about it. The touchscreen controls are nice. I'm glad that they're adding that, the touch controls. Different graphical options, that's great. I'm sure that's going to be great for a lot of people who have the Switch version to figure out which is the best use of the graphical and performance optimization. But the big one, I think the really big one on this one, has to do with the fact that you could transfer your save file from the Switch to the PC, and if I'm reading this correctly, from the PC to the Nintendo Switch. I still have to look up and see how that exactly works out, but this is a really neat feature that they're adding into it. I think it makes people who want to maybe who may be on the sideline of picking up the Switch version may now consider picking this up now that they could transfer some of their data from the Switch to the PC, and I believe from the PC to the Switch as well. I mean, I have to say, hats off to CD Projekt Red and Saber Interactive for adding this feature. I think this might get some people out there who may have decided not to pick up Witcher 3 on the Nintendo Switch to consider it now that they have the ability to switch their save files back and forth. So like if you're on the go, you can switch it over to the Switch. When you're at home, you can put it back on your PC and so forth. So it's a really neat feature, and I think that, and I think Diversity Original Sin 2, if I'm saying the name correctly, also takes advantage of this as well. And I would like to see other developers take advantage of this feature, and I would like to see other developers do that. I mean, that is a really neat feature that's there for this game. So I have to say, overall, as far as this update goes, this is a nice update, and the ability to switch from the PC version to the Switch version is a really nice addition. I don't know if it will work if you're using Witcher 3 through GeForce Now. I don't know 100% about that, but nevertheless, I still think this is a very nice feature that Saber Interactive and CD Projekt Red has done. Speaking of Saber Interactive, it appears as though they have been recently somewhat purchased by a THQ Nordic parent company. In an article from Nintendo Life, it reads about they were purchased for about $525 million. It reads that Embracer Group, the parent company of THQ Nordic, has bought Saber Interactive, the developer studios behind the Switch port of games like The Witcher 3 Wild Hunt and Vampyr. VAMPYR. The deal consists of an initial $150 million fee with a maximum earnout of $375 million, depending on the fulfillment of agreement milestone. It also means Saber Interactive will become Embracer Group's fifth operating group, while Saber's co-founders will become Embracer Group's second largest shareholder. In a press release, Embracer's founder and CEO has shared the following. Saber has been on our radar for a very long time because of their deep history of consistently high-quality work. Their ambitions move towards self-funding projects in recent years have been particularly impressive, especially with World War Z, which sold more than 3 million units. While Saber Interactive will remain a standalone company within Embracer Group, we look forward to collaborating with them to elevate their ability to create and market premier titles. The article also includes, this is actually just the latest in a string of Embracer Group's acquisitions. The company has reportedly obtained a mighty 18 game companies over the past 4 years. According to the very same press release, Saber Interactive has 4 announced and 8 announced development projects in the works, all which will now be added to Embracer Group's portfolio. This year, activity will primarily be driven by game release expected during the second half of the year. From what I remember also hearing is that Saber Interactive says that some of these games are coming to the Switch, so interesting to see what those might be. So it's interesting that they're being purchased though, but it does also say by the statement at least that they're still going to have some autonomy. So basically they'll still be able, it sounds like if I'm reading this correctly, they'll still be able to develop or other game, like if like CD Projekt Red says to them to, or another studio says, hey, can you port this over to the Switch? They probably will still do that, but I'm sure this means that they'll also port over games from THQ Nordic as well if they want to bring some of their games over to the Nintendo Switch. So we'll have to wait and see on that, but I will say overall, hats off to CD Projekt Red and Saber Interactive for the update for the Switch, and it will be interesting to see what Saber Interactive's future is now that they have been purchased by the Embracer Group, which supposedly is a parent company of THQ Nordic. Okay, we're going to take a quick break, and when we get back, we're going to get to, if I get this up there, part 6, and this one has to do with Cyberpunk 2077 and NVIDIA's GeForce Now. So we'll take a quick break, and we will be right back. Okay, and we are back with part 6, our sixth and final part of our My 2 Cent video. And this one, we're going to be taking a look at a recent announcement by NVIDIA and CD Projekt Red in regards of Cyberpunk 2077 and NVIDIA's GeForce Now. Now, one of the most anticipated games I'm looking forward to coming out this year, assuming there's no more delays, originally was supposed to come out in April, but now it's been pushed back to, I believe, September 17th, is, of course, Cyberpunk 2077, the new game coming from The Witcher 3 developer CD Projekt Red. This was definitely a title a lot of people were looking forward to picking up, but a lot of people were kind of disappointed to hear the game being delayed. There were reports later that came out about basically that the developers were having a hard time getting the game to run even on a base Xbox One and, of course, the base PS4. So hopefully that extra time will allow them to make the game function and work properly, all that stuff. There's also the issue, although there is still that issue of crunch, and hopefully that is addressed in a way that doesn't create the kind of situation we saw last year with Anthem and the whole report from Jason Schreier and all that. But now we got an interesting announcement from NVIDIA, and of course, with a deal or a certain thing they did with CD Projekt Red, that now is going to have Cyberpunk 2077 will be available through NVIDIA's game streaming service known as NVIDIA's GeForce Now. There have been several articles on it, but in a blog post by GeForce Now under the GeForce Now announcement, it reads that, quote, and this is from NVIDIA staff, "Hi everyone, happy to share some exciting news. Cyberpunk 2077 will be available on GeForce Now the day of its release. GeForce Now members will be able to grab their copy on Steam and play the game the moment it's available. GeForce Now founder members can explore the streets of Night City with RTX on, fully optimized and instantly available even on your Mac laptop. We're thrilled to work with CD Projekt Red to bring its eagerly anticipated game to GeForce Now. And while you wait, be sure to check out CD Projekt Red's critically acclaimed Witcher series, also available through GeForce Now. It's worth pointing out that Witcher 2 and 3 are available, but I have yet to see the first Witcher make its way through GeForce Now. We're PC gamers too, so we'll be right there with you playing Cyberpunk on day one. Stay tuned for more news. They also they talk about a contest where you can win a GeForce RTX 280 Ti Cyberpunk 2077 edition GPU and all that stuff. But anyway, that's that on that part though. I do have to say, to me, this is actually kind of good news because lately, as I've been trying out NVIDIA's GeForce Now on playing it off of my iMac and all, I'm going to do a review and thoughts about it in my next video. And I have to say that my impression with it, though, for that one has been positive, but there are some concerns, and the recent Activision Blizzard situation, and now we're learning with Bethesda, if I'm reading it correctly though, is the fact that they've pulled their games off of the GeForce Now and all that. So it there is some concerns about it though, but this announcement is definitely nice, and this is definitely a good thing. The idea that you could be able to play play like Cyberpunk 2077 through GeForce Now on your Mac, for crying out loud. You can also play through your NVIDIA Shield or Android or your PC and all that stuff. So I will have to say this is definitely a good announcement, and definitely basically something I would like to see more from NVIDIA, especially with their whole GeForce Now and service. So I have to say, overall, this is definitely good news. I would definitely like to see more of these games start coming over through NVIDIA's GeForce Now and so forth, though. It's definitely, again, Cyberpunk 2077 is definitely one of my big titles. I'm looking forward to it when it comes out, though. And I do hope to see more announcements like these for NVIDIA's GeForce Now service. I think it's a really neat service. I've been trying it out lately, though, and I would like to see more of these announcements for the games, so for more games to come to GeForce Now. So overall, definitely good. I'm glad they're working with CD Projekt Red. I'm glad they're bringing Cyberpunk 2077 through GeForce Now and all that stuff, though. Now the question is whether to pick it up on the console or whether to pick it up on GeForce Now, or if you have a PC, pick it up on PC. I'm sure everyone's going to have their different take, but definitely a win-win for those who are subscribers or those who are using NVIDIA's GeForce Now service. Okay, this concludes this My 2 Cent video for this week. And again, these are my opinion. What are yours? What are your thoughts about the Sonic movie doing very well at the box office? Are you pleased that the movie is doing very well? Have you seen the Sonic the Hedgehog movie yet? And do you think this could open the door to now that we're going to see maybe movies based on video games may, along with Detective Pikachu, may start to actually be good and go mainstream in the way Marvel is with their MCU and so forth? What are your thoughts about Kathleen and XCOM 2 rated basically coming to the Nintendo Switch possibly? Are you excited that these games are coming to the Nintendo Switch? Is this the kind of game you want to see from Aultus and 2K to bring over to the Nintendo Switch? Are there other games that you would like to see them bring over to the Nintendo Switch? What are your thoughts about Aulus' response to the possibility of Persona 5 coming to the Switch and their recording guidelines for Persona 5 Phantom Striker? Do you think Aulus will bring Persona 5 over to Nintendo Switch? Do you think it's not going to happen? And do you think Aulus is maybe going a little bit overboard in regards of video recording guidelines for Persona 5 Scramble, the Phantom Striker? What are your thoughts about the Animal Crossing Direct that happened? Did you enjoy the Direct? Did you hate the Direct, though? Were there things that you liked that they showed off for upcoming Animal Crossing New Horizon? Or were there things that you hate about it? What are your thoughts about this update for Witcher 3 for the Nintendo Switch? Are you very pleased with this update? Are there certain features that you like? Do you like the idea of transferring your game from the Switch to the PC and vice versa? You think that's really a neat idea and all that stuff? And what are your thoughts about Cyberpunk 2077 now coming to NVIDIA's GeForce Now? Do you think this is a very good thing and all? Do you think that this is the kind of approach NVIDIA needs to do with GeForce Now and all? Have you tried out NVIDIA's GeForce Now yet? Do you agree with what I said in this video? Do you disagree? Do you have a different thoughts or a different opinion? As always, sound off on the comment section below. Let me know what you think. And if you like this video, I hope you hit the like button. I would appreciate it. And I hope you do subscribe to my YouTube channel. If you do, make sure you hit the bell icon for notifications of any new videos I put up. Also, feel free to share this video if you want to, and feel free to donate to my channel if you like. You could do it through PayPal Me or Patreon. Links will be in the description of this video. And I will see you again next time when I do another video. Hopefully that'll be soon. Until then, from Southern California, I wish you all a good day then. Bye!